Hi folks, welcome to another episode of the Single Dad's Cookbook. I hope I find you well. This episode is going to be Moussaka. This was requested by Lucy Brebner, asked for an easy Moussaka, and Anne couldn't wait to see it, so here we have it. So first of all, I'm just peeling a potato. Now, I had never made Moussaka before. I will be making it again because it was absolutely stunning. I also changed it ever so slightly. I know that the traditionalists are going to have a field day with this and say it's not a moussaka, because I've not fried the aubergine or the potato. What I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to roast them and bake them, just to try and make it a little bit healthy. So the first thing we've done, we've peeled our potato, and I'm going to thinly slice it to create the base of the moussaka. And you just want it nice and easy, nice thin slices. If you've got a mandolin, obviously be careful, watch your fingers. But if you've not, just try and take it as nice and simple as you can. Take it easy. I've used one decent sized potato. If you watched the What's in the Bag episode, you see that the potatoes I got were huge. So I've just sliced them up. As I was going through it, I noticed that one bit there was a little bit thicker, so I've just given it a slice so it all cooks at the same time. Now I've put these in a bowl, and what I'm going to do is to them, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to put in some salt, some pepper, and some dried thyme. And give it a good old mix around. And we're going to be repeating that process a couple of times, so you don't need to clean the bowl out. While I'm doing that, I want to, like I say, welcome you to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please think about subscribing. Hit in the comments down below where you're watching this from. Again, is there anything that you want to see me cook? I do read all the comments. And if it's something that I think the family will love, or at least give it a go, I will make it. So you can see here I'm just mixing these in. And again, as always, if you can get down the comments, tell me what your favourite meals are. I've got the Facebook page up and running. Get your dishes on there. Let's build that community. It's jumped away up. I think as of this morning it was 35 of yous are on there, which is great. Let's just keep that ball rolling. And you can find me on TikTok and on Twitter as well. Just trying to cover all the bases there for you. So I've got my dish. I'm going to give it a bit of a little bit of olive oil, just running out there. But this is just to make it so it doesn't stick at the bottom. You don't need loads and loads and loads. When I was making this, I found a couple of things that not chefy, but there is a couple of techniques that you've just got to be mindful of, and one of them is for the bechamel sauce, which will be later on in the video. I know this video is a little bit longer than normal, but there was actually quite a lot of processes that you've got to follow. I did try and keep it as short as I can. So we've got that in there. The next stage is we're going to grab the aubergine, and as I said, it was the smallest aubergine in the planet, which actually turned out quite handy because it was the perfect size for the dish. And again, I'm just going to slice through. It's actually quite funny because as I was cutting, it started to tear, and then I realised, I was like, knife needs sharpening. So went away, sharpened my knife, and there you have it. Look at that, nice clean slices. A sharp knife in the kitchen is essential. Now the potatoes are in the oven at 100 degrees Celsius on a fan oven, and they've gone in for 20 minutes just to start the cooking process with them. The aubergines are now going into the same bowl that the potatoes were in. I'm just breaking them up, and again, it's going to be a bit of oil, some thyme, some salt, and some pepper. So not only are we layering the dish, we're actually layering the flavours to make sure that each element, if you were to get it on its own, is delicious. So we've done that. and we go through and we're just giving them a bit of a shake. At this point, you'll be able to see if any of the aubergine, when you are mixing it, does it look a bit dry or has it not got enough seasoning. You can just add it in at that point. So we're going to give that a good old rummage around, and we can see that happening now. So a bit of olive oil. If you are new to the channel, like I said, if you can, think about subscribing, hitting that like button. It does help me with the magical algorithm that is YouTube, because I've got absolutely no idea how it works. But I believe if you like it and comment on the video, it does push it a bit further. And if you can hit the bell button, I know that some of you seem to not be getting any of the videos recently. Linda McLeod was asking, saying she missed me, but I don't know if it's just because she's not been getting the notifications. So it's all on there. Next, we're just layering the aubergine or the eggplant, whatever you want to call it, and we've got that. And again, this is going to go back in the oven for 20 minutes. While that's in the oven, what we're going to do is I'm going to thinly slice an onion so we can get that. And what we're going to do is we're going to caramelize the onion so that it releases its sweetness into the dish. So again, just thinly slice, flip it over, get rid of any of the residue there, and just again thinly slice through it. Nice and simple. Take your time, no mad rush. You can do all this. I was doing it as I go, but by all means you can prepare it. And I even went, let's see if we can give this fad, this viral peeling an onion with your potato peeler, vegetable peeler. Not for me. Didn't work. I don't know if I've got the wrong type of peeler, but back to just thinly slicing them. Not all life hacks seem to work for me, but I've got the onion there, nice and simple, and I'm just going to break it up just so that when it hits the pan, and I've got the oil on, so it's a nice hot pan. As soon as it hits, it's every single piece is getting connected with the pan, so that you're not, it's not clumping up. So you can see there, just going to add it in. Watch your fingers. It's really easy to burn yourself, but just throwing them in. This is where I need one of those little things again, but there you go, burning yourself, not the best. Get that on. And while they're going, I'm going to grate some garlic. Again, I know yous are probably screaming at the screen saying, oh, I hope you've frozen your garlic to grate it. I'm not that organised. Another one of the life hacks that didn't seem to work for me was getting the garlic out with a butter knife. Didn't work. I couldn't do it. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. I can't do it. So I'm just grating 3 cloves of garlic into the little bowl there. Any excess bits, I've got them there. So got my garlic. Now on to the mince. So now again, this is 5% lean beef, so it's not a high fat content. I'm just going to break it up with a wooden spoon. I know I've touched the meat. I do go and wash everything off. I go and wash the spoon and everything in a second, just as I'm breaking up, before I touch anything else. So I'm breaking down the mince so it doesn't all look like string bits of beef. I'll just break it up. So again, we've got that there. And like I said, I'm just giving my hands a quick wash because I touched that. And then what we're going to do is into there, we're going to add some, now probably a dessert spoon of ground cinnamon. Weird one, I know, but the results are amazing. Salt, pepper, thyme. So again, we're having the same consistent flavouring profile throughout the dish. This way, again, if you just get a mouthful of the minced beef, it's got that beautiful flavour profile. So we're just adding that in. Then we're going to give it a mix. So there's the thyme going in. Now you may wonder what I'm doing there. With the pepper, I've got they sent me, instead of ground pepper, excuse me, instead of a ground pepper mill, they just sent me a big jar of ground pepper, so I use the lid to measure it out. Always adapt in the kitchen, never be beaten. So give that all a mix. Like I said, at that point I had washed everything down, and we're just going to mix that in, and then we're going to put that to the side because we're going to wait on the caramelization of the onions. So we've taken them out. They've had 20 minutes. So taking them out, you can see there they're all nice and soft. The potatoes and everything got a nice colour on them. And I'm just going to pop that to the side. So the prep work on them is done. And we've got the caramelised onions there. Not as much as the mushrooms soup video, but for this, you just wanted them to release that sweetness and a little bit of colour. I'm now adding in the garlic. Now, as always, when you put garlic in, you know the garlic's ready and it's been cooked through because you can start to smell it. And that's what it was. A couple of minutes, come back, pop in your tomato paste, and you can see there, that's a good dessert spoon of tomato paste. And I'm mixing that in with the onions and the garlic. And I'm going to pop that on to the stove and let that cook through. And again, just a couple of minutes. That's all it takes, just a few minutes. And then I'm going to add in the ground beef. And I'm going to break that up, get it mixing in with that, then get that on to brown. Now, when you're browning it off, you want it not to be mega dry, but you don't want it soaking wet. So if you've got an overly fatty ground beef, you may need to drain it or cook it until it's all evaporated. And while that's doing that, onto the bechamel sauce. Now this is a technique in itself. And for this, you're going to need a good knob of butter, plain flour, some milk, and I'm using Parmesan cheese for this. Again, if you've got any cheese that you really like, you can use that. So all I'm doing with this knob of butter is I am just chopping it up just to make it easier to melt when we get started. So get that into the pan, melting. So you see there, just throw it in, get it melting. There we have. So we've now got the beef. You can see there, it's not super dry, but it's not soaking wet. Then you're going to add in your tinned tomatoes. Now these tinned tomatoes, what you're going to do, just give them a quick mix. And what we're going to do, put this back on the stove till the vast majority of the liquid from the tomatoes has evaporated. So you've brought it down to intensify the flavour. You've added in the tomatoes, and you're just going to bring that down again to keep that flavour profile going. So you see there, give it a mix. Doesn't look, it's turned quite a little bit wet. You're just going to cook that off. Make sure it's all spread out, and then we have it. So into this little bowl, it's all been cleaned out. I'm going to grate Parmesan cheese. This, I've literally grate until the bowl's full, because this is going to be the cheese I'm using in the bechamel. I use the microplane grater because I find when you put it into, if you are making a sauce, it dissolves much easier into it. So you see there, I've filled it. I've even threw some onto the chopping board. So pop that to the side. Now comes the melted butter. And you can see there, it looks like there's quite a lot. It's just because it's a smaller pan. And into that, I'm going to add probably a cup, maybe a cup and a half of flour. Probably a cup, to be honest. Give that a mix, and you'll start to see that you're making a roux. And it's coming together pretty much straight away. Make sure you get the corners. So So you're getting it all in there. And I am using a metal whisk on a pan, I know. Then you want to cook out the flour. Okay, so give it a few minutes, cook out the flour. Then you want to add your milk. This may take you maybe 10 times, just a little bit at a time, and you just keep going until it comes to this. Then you bring it back, and then another splash of milk, and you just keep going. Patience here is your friend, and you just want to keep going. Eventually, what will happen is it will turn into this, and it will start to bubble on the pan when you've got it. So it won't seize up. At this point, you know it's ready. Now, all that is at the minute is just milk, flour and butter. So we're going to add some flavouring to it. So we're going to add some pepper, a little bit of cinnamon, just to bring that flavour profile through. Dump in all that cheese that you've got, and then you're going to give it a mix. You'll notice that I've not added any salt at this stage because the salt may come from the Parmesan cheese. So once you've incorporated it all, that's when you want to give it a taste. So give it a good old beating. And let's give it a taste. So grab a spoon. Going to use the back of the spoon first, just to flavour, to see. Give that a taste. Now, when I tasted it, it did need a little bit salt. So I added some salt in. And I just made sure that it was all mixed so it doesn't stick. And then I'm putting a little bit of salt in, just because it needed it. Again, this is my preference. Once you taste it, depending on the Parmesan that you've got or whatever cheese you use, you'll be able to balance the flavours. Then give it another taste. And it was almost right there. What I did do, once it's done, I actually added in some more of the Parmesan, just to try and give that extra little bit of flavour in. So now, we're on to actually making the dish itself. So you've got your potatoes, you've got your aubergines. We're going to put in there now the mince that has reduced down, and we're going to make sure that that's all nice at a nice level platform. With the bechamel sauce, I've just added a little bit into the mince, so that it sort of sticks together make it easier when you're cutting it. With the bechamel sauce as well, if you wanted to, you could put in I suppose a couple of egg yolks just to make it a little bit creamier or a little bit more glossy. The one thing I would maybe do if I made this again is maybe have like a cheddar, just as a final flourish over the top. Not loads so it overpowers the whole dish, but just so that it gives it a different finish on top. But like I said, when I made this first time, and it turned out unbelievable, and I'm glad that it was suggested because it will become a main meal now, again, in the repertoire. So, pop all that in. See how hot that is. Then we're going to pour in that beautiful sauce that you've made, just to cover it all. So, back of the hand pour, just so you can see. We're just going to go round, making sure that you see how thick and beautiful that sauce is. And we're just going to make sure we fill in all the gaps. And you've took your time making it, so make sure that you get every single part of it out of the pan. The one thing with this as well, you cannot leave it. You cannot leave that sauce. You've got to pay it attention. It is like an unruly child. If you leave it, it will run riot. It will dry out really fast. You've got to be on top of it. So once you've scraped all that in, what you're going to do is just make sure you've filled all the gaps. run the back of your spoon over it. And there you have it. I was trying to not make a mess, but I should have left it there, but I went back because it literally did. This part was not a labour of love, but it was not the hardest, but the bit that took the most concentration. And there you have it. So now we're going to put it back in the oven for 20 minutes, and then we're going to bring it out. And this is when I say I'd probably have liked to put a little bit of cheddar, yellow cheddar, or red Leicester, or whatever you've got, just to bring out a different colour. This, as you can see, piping hot. It was absolutely stunning. I'm cut out a bit. Again, should have maybe let it sit so it would have been easier to cut. However, as we go, we can make sure that we're going to plate this up. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you give it a go. It was beautiful. I'm really glad for the suggestion. I hope I find you well. I hope you're looking after yourself and each other. And as always, from my family to yours, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment down below. And I wish you all the best until the next time. Single Dad, eating his moussaka and signing off.